everyone. This is Kathy Mason from MasonWorks Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone with my friend, Chef Ron Pickarski. Hi, Ron, how are you?
I'm doing just fine on this beautiful Colorado day. And
Yeah. Yes. Okay, so everyone, I'm so excited to introduce Ron to you because he is an award-winning chef, like the fancy chefs that wear the white hats at, at all the events. In fact, he's an Olympic medal winner. And he's written books and he has products, and I'm so excited. His website is called Eco-Cuisine, and I'll put that here so you can see it. But Ron, can you tell us your story? Because I know you've been active in vegetarian/vegan cuisine. It's like you're a futurist. You saw the future long time ago. How did that happen?
well, it happened back in, I started in the restaurant business. My parents started a restaurant when I was 12 years old. So my first job was washing dishes, and I ended up graduating to working the grill. And so then there was this piece of me that loved art. I was doing paintings, art painting, landscapes and stuff way back in high school. So I shared that to put a little context to this, because my parents had the diner and they both had chronic degenerative diseases related to diet, cancer, obesity, hypertension, you name it. And so I graduated from high school and went into the seminary. I was thinking of becoming a Franciscan, and I actually did for 22 years. And while in the seminary, when I jumped on the scale, I was over 200 pounds.
Wow.
And I was unhealthy. I had bronchopneumonia twice. I started smoking when I was in 12th grade. And so I kind of looked at myself going down that same road my parents are going down. So I had went to the seminary through my theological studies, and they let me go, because it was a brother, they let me go to culinary school. And then I took over one of the seminary kitchens and ran that as the chef, and got my certification as a meat cutter. And I was at a meeting with the International Association of Cancer Victims and Friends when Dr. Talked about the ill effects of meat on the bronchial system. And me having bronchial problems in the middle of the summer was not right. In the winter, I always felt it's just a cold. Long story short is I became a vegan in February, a vegetarian in February of 96 and a vegan in October of 96.
Wow.
Because when I became a vegetarian, I was eating a lot of cheese. Okay, I'll just eat cheese and eggs. Well, cheese is one of the worst things you can eat. So it was only getting worse. I said, something isn't adding up here. And so I became a vegan, and that became my ministry. I was doing it for health reasons. I lost that weight. I'm right now about 145 pounds. I'm 73 years old. I can leg press 500 pounds. I have no medical conditions other than a hernia from heavy lifting. But and take no medications.
That's fantastic. So, okay, so I had no idea that you were a Franciscan monk, but now it makes total sense because you have this calm presence about you. So that makes total sense. I'm so glad to know that. What I want everyone to know is not only are we talking about your health, we're talking about bringing back beauty into your life, because the work that Ron does, and we'll show you his cookbook and everything, it makes your meal times beautiful. Not only are they healthy, but they're beautiful. And that is, as an artist, I mean, you've won awards. Do you want to tell us about your award? Because you were competing in the Olympics.
Yes. Well, what happened once I became a vegan, and I realized that as a Franciscan, as my ministry, And it came to a point with the order, and I had a wonderful time in the order, and I have nothing but fond memories of it. But I had to choose between just, saying my lauds and vespers every day and standing over the pot in the kitchen versus my mission, my ministry, which I really felt was taking vegetarianism to the people. And so I had to make a choice to leave. And in the midst of that leaving, one of my missions was to really find a place where I could really promote food. Keep in mind, we're talking about the late 70s right now, when it wasn't on anybody's radar screen. So when I was going to culinary school, my chairman of the department, Mr. Dimoff, basically said, go down to the Drake Hotel and take a look at this work that Lutz Oswick did. He was a pastry chef. He won gold medals in the Culinary Olympics. And I said, when I went down there and I looked at it, again, I was a student. I was still behind the years when it came to cooking. And I looked at that and I said, someday I'm going to go there. And when I became a vegan, I said, okay, now I got a reason to go there. So in 1980, I decided to go because you have to qualify for it. So I won gold medals in the US competition. So it's like you qualify here, in the athletic Olympics. You have to go through stages and then you qualify and then you're picked for the team. Well, the Olympics has their national teams, but they have independent teams, independent presenters. So I went as an independent.
I see.
But I qualified for it. And when I went there in 1980, they just kind of looked at me like, what are you doing here? It was just not on their radar. And that was respectful. I mean, they were just like, this is not relevant right now. But anyway, I took a bronze and I said, I'm going to keep going back until I really get the message out. So in 84, I went back again and took another bronze. And in 88, and this was in the cold, because they have categories. There's like the cold food, cold, which is like a cold buffet. Then there's the hot food served cold. And then there's the pastries. And then there's the actual hot food where only the national teams can compete in the hot food. And so I competed in the categories of the pastries and the cold and the hot cold, and and in 1984, took bronze. In 1988, took a silver in pastries and a silver in hot cold. And in 92, took a silver in hot cold. And in 92, I took a silver in hot cold and took a gold in the first ever vegetarian category. Because by that time, I didn't know it, but they had actually created a vegetarian category, because prior to that, there was no vegetarian category. My vegan food was standing up against meat, dairy, eggs, seafood, poultry. They were just everything. And oh, by the way, here's a vegetarian. So they judged it the same way they judged everything else.
Wow, for you to get a bronze is something, because those people's palate was geared towards another flavor. That's amazing.
Yeah. So in 1992, that was my final competition. And by that time, I had 3 silvers, 3 bronzes, and a gold.
Wow. Yay.
And then I took that, when I was in Boston, I was living there at the time, and I told the Boston Globe that my main goal when I come back from there was to take what I'm doing in the Olympics and put it on America's plates. And so that became the real challenge. Like, yeah, I win all these medals, but what do the medals mean? Again, it's not consistent with my mission if I'm not taking that to the next step, was to create transformational diet with people. And so how do you help people change their diets? And when I became a vegan, I was getting requests to do vegan convention dinners for natural foods groups and stuff, which are more eclectic and more open to that. And the chefs were constantly saying, well, the product is very labor intense and the ingredients are very expensive. So I figured, okay, this is an opening for me to create a product line that's dry mixes that allows chefs to cook with them. And so that's what I did. And one of the first things I did was actually take my brownie and create that into a product. So my gold medal winning brownie is now available to food service operators. So I developed all these products, and I developed them for the savory side and the dessert side, because those are the 2 areas that the chefs struggle with a lot. And now there is a lot of products out there. There's a lot of recipes, the Google and the websites and YouTube are flooded with all this information, but they're not speed scratch products. I mean, the chefs have to bring in all these specialty ingredients in and prepare it. With Eco-Cuisine's products, you just bring in the mixes. You bring in the ground beef mix, and you can use it. There's three different categories of vegetarians as I look at them. There's the vegetarian who's the healthy diner, and then there's the esoteric vegetarian who will not eat meat, anything that tastes like meat, and then there's the vegan who will eat anything, like the PETA vegan. I call them the PETA vegans because they promote anything, and I say that respectfully. They promote any non-animal product. So it can be any kind of, they're into the analog. So you have the healthy diners, you have the PETA vegans, and you have the esoteric vegans who won't touch meat or anything that tastes like it. So
Right.
these products are designed so you can fit them into anywhere you want.
Right.
Because people will not sacrifice to the pleasure of the plate for nutrition. They want to enjoy the food.
Well, we're addicted to food. I mean, there's so much addiction to food, and that's what's causing so much of the suffering in the world is the American diet, the traditional American diet, Kentucky Fried Chicken and McDonald's.
Yes, they're not healthy, balanced foods. We're omnivores. We're not carnivores. So eating a little meat is within the premise of what an omnivore's diet is. Even monkeys or chimpanzees will sometimes they go on hunting sprees to kill animals and literally eat them. I've watched baboons take down a baby fawn on the animal program and literally eat meat. But once they eat it, they eat all these herbs and different plant foods to balance it out. But they do that once in a blue moon. That's not like every day. It's not like meat 3 times a day.
Well, the European diet is, when I lived in Italy and went to school there in the 70s, the 60s and 70s, and meat was kind of like a flavor. It was like an ingredient. It wasn't like a big steak on a plate. It was a side. Mm-hmm. Whereas the pastas and the vegetables and the other foods, soups, all the other foods, where you had a lot larger portions of that than the meat. And a lot of times the meat was just as little pieces that were on a pizza or in the meat in the pasta, and that was it. Most other countries don't eat meat like, well, I guess North and South America eat meat like that. And I don't know if Europeans do now, but back then it was like seasoned with a little bit of meat.
It was basically used as a flavoring agent. It was protein, but it was like a flavoring agent.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, okay. So you were way ahead of the game. I think I was a vegetarian back then when you started in the 70s. And then I married a meat and potato guy and tried to eat and make. Well, I learned how to cook and I could make it, but I couldn't digest meat. So I became a vegetarian because I was uncomfortable. It wasn't spiritual. But then as soon as I got divorced later, I went right back to it, and I could tell a huge difference in my psyche and how my body worked. I was really in touch with the functionality of our bodies. And that's what I think a lot of people are missing, is that awareness. Do you agree?
I totally agree. And the most basic relationship we have in life is with our bodies, who we are, spiritually, psychologically, physically. So if you want to be the most primary relationship is the body, and what feeds the body? A number of things, but on the cosmic level, food. I mean, we need food. We need protein. We need carbohydrates. We need protein to rebuild our body, the carbs to fuel our body, all the macro, micronutrients. And that's another whole story. But the basic relationship is there. So how does our body feel? If I'm I'm having a low energy and feeling depressed, is that hypoglycemia? Did my wife just divorce me? Or, there's all kinds of reasons it can happen, but it starts with the body. So what's going on in my life that's affecting my body? Primarily, if you look at most of the chronic degenerative diseases in the US, and it's primarily in the Western countries, they're diet related.
Right.
So obesity can be a hypothyroid, but it probably is, just overeating. We tend to consume too many refined foods. And it's not that we can't eat them, but we just eat too much of them.
Right.
And the nutrients is not there. So we're not rebuilding our bodies. Premature aging, chronic conditions that result from that. And the older you get, the more maintenance you got to put into it. I mean, I just had my health exam last week, and my cholesterol was perfect. My thyroid was stimulating hormone was a little low. That's been bouncing around. I think that may be because of the COVID, getting the vaccine shot or something. So I'm always looking at that. I had my teeth done yesterday. It's just kind of ironic, but all the maintenance that I put into it, I'm getting good reports back.
Right.
But it takes that, but I don't have to run to the hospital every time. I hardly ever go to the hospital. If I have a problem, I'm looking at what's going on with me, not, we'll run to the doctor. No.
Right. Well, so we're talking about the bringing food, the beauty of eating healthy back into people's awareness. How often okay, I'll just say it this way. When I cook, I use your cookbook, or I use other things online, and it's really rare that my concoction looks like the picture. So do you find that when people buy your products, or chefs buy your products, that you have to assist them even more to have it come out as beautiful as the way you make it?
Well, the recipe, if you follow the recipe, you'll come out with the product that's really nice. Like if you're making a meatloaf and you follow the recipe to make a meatloaf with the ground beef mix, it's going to come out like a meatloaf. Now, how you plate it, that's the piece that you're getting to. So you can manipulate that product to do whatever you want. Like for instance, with the brownie mix, it's a whole grain brownie. Now I can just bake that off in a sheet pan, and then and just put a layer of ganache on it, and that's a brownie. But I can also take that brownie and bake it off really thin layers, just like, like maybe half inch, quarter inch. And then what I do is I stack them up, and then I cut them in a vertical, and then I put them against each other, and it looks like a pyramid, and it's a vertical layered cake. So instead of a layered horizontal, that's the presentation, and that's the plating. So the plate is the palette, is basically the canvas. Yeah, and what you do with it depends on your skill level. When I was just down in Sedona, I was doing these dinners, and we had friends with us, and they were just looking at the plate and like, wow. And it's nothing really special to me, because that's what I'm taught to do. It's an art form to present the product. It's an art to cook it. It's an art to get the nutrition right, and it's an art to present it. You can do very simple, basic presentations, but it's that. And as D.H. Lawrence said, the essential function of art is to change the blood, and the mind to follow in the wake. So when you're eating these foods, you're looking at that as an art, and you're inspired by the beauty of the food. It's inspirational. And then you eat it, and then your body takes that food in, and it transforms it's called biological transmutation. The food becomes you. So that beauty becomes you.
Well, I think that the whole thing, it feels like a gift, which the food is a gift. If we're connected to the earth and we're eating a lot of raw foods, or foods that are natural and in harmony with our body and with the world, then we all of a sudden have a whole different perspective of how we're engaging. And then if the presentation is beautiful, there's something about it that it's like a gift or nurturing. for your soul.
It is. Food is very personal to people. That's the whole idea of comfort food. There's foods that we were raised on. One of the recipes that I have is in my book is the tofu Swiss steak or seitan Swiss steak. You can make it with either one. And that's something that my mother made every Monday night. And when I made that seitan Swiss steak, it was just like, wow, that took me there. Because it's got sort of a meaty-like texture. And it's just sauteed caramelized onions with green peppers and mushrooms, a little basil and garlic. And I bread the seitan steaklets. I make them and then I bread them and sear them. And then I put the vegetables in there. And then I add the tomatoes and the broth. And it's just that simmer in the oven. And that's where my mother used to make it. We had that every Monday night with cinnamon rolls. Because that was a day off, and she always cooked something special for us.
Oh, that is so cool.
But that again is that comfort food. It takes you to that place in your life, and it's just something, a fond memory. And we all have that. We all are raised on certain foods that we just love because we're brought up on them.
Right. Well, and I think that a lot of women were taught to show love through food. That we were trained that that making a family meal was a loving act. So that's part of that too. It's this whole nurturing. Could you show us your book? And then of course we'll go to your website, but I'd love for people to see. Do you have it? Still have one?
Yeah, I have it right here.
Okay.
Yeah, and I self-published this book because the publishers want you to do it sort of their way. They negotiate with you, but I wanted this book to be non-negotiable.
Okay, so lift it up. Okay, and then show them how thick it is.
Yeah,
this is a fabulous book.
It has a whole set of color. It's basically about over 400, about 420 pages. And then it has a section in here on pictures of the food. This is a bulgur walnut loaf. Here is a seitan with the bigger rod sauce. Here's the seitan Swiss steak that I was telling you about that I love so much. Here's a black bean Napoleon.
Now I'm hungry.
Here's tofu. And what I did here with tofu is I put it in a food processor, and then I pulverize it into like a classical French force meat. And then I add to that confit of vegetables, which are vegetables that are cooked to the point where there's not much moisture in them. And then I put that in there with beans. And then the tofu is smoked. So that's a Southwestern tofu loaf. And you look at that.
So can you push it a little bit further there? But that's great. Yeah, you guys, you won't believe this cookbook is fabulous. And it'll give you so many ideas, especially I know at the holidays, when I'm having people over that aren't vegan, they might, I mean, they can handle having a vegan meal every once in a while, but you want to do Christmas or Thanksgiving, you want to do a fancier, nicer main course. And Ron's book has so many great recipes that the presentation, you can see. Well, that's why I said I want mine to look like the picture.
Well, one of the things about the book, though, when I wrote the book, is I wrote it for both chefs. That's why I call it the Classical Vegetarian Cookbook for Professional Chefs and Inspired Cooks. And I say inspired cooks because it's written to teach how to cook. You know, it's not just a book of recipes. And what are the most challenging elements of cooking? It's the center of the plate, the entree, and it's the desserts. So I cover both. I have ice cream in here that you can make in a blender: chocolate ice cream, avocado ice cream, banana ice cream. It's already, all you have to do is put everything in a blender. You get it cold, you blend it to a point where it's smooth, you put it in a freezer, you pop it out, and you got ice cream. So you can do things like that. But the point of the book is it teaches you how to cook. So it walks you through a little bit about the vegetarian history. Then it goes into the diet itself, a little bit about the diet and how to get your protein. It has the equation in there for it. So how much protein you need, you take your body weight and you divide it by 2.2, which is a kilogram. We need 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram. So you take the number of kilograms, multiply it by 0.8. That's how much protein you need. And I do a lot of work with beans because beans are I work with analogs, and I have all my proteins that I developed, and I develop them so that you can cook with them, but I also develop them so that you can add whole foods to them. So that bulgur walnut loaf you saw in here, you can take my ground beef mix and just cook your bulgur, saute your vegetables, and then add a little ground beef mix to that, put that and pack that into a loaf pan, and you've got a meatloaf.
So should I show my brown?
Sure.
Okay, so this is old, but I'm still using it. And it's a vendor that he private labels for, but you have a whole line of foods like this that are prepackaged that have recipes on the back and are they're fabulous. So when people say I don't have time to cook like this, you do. Actually, this is probably easier than not, because if you have all of this in the cupboard, you've got somebody stops by for dinner, you've got food.
And Veggie is a company that I developed these products specifically for them. And this is the brown burger mix. This is the new product, and it comes in a box. You get 2 8-ounces in a box.
Okay.
8 ounces make about a pound, over a pound of product, about a pound, actually about a pound and a half. And anyway, this is what it looks like. It's a bag. It's an 8-ounce bag. But the burger mix is a little bit different from the ground beef. It's the replacement for it. And this one can do all the same recipes, but it makes a perfect burger. So it's more of all you have to do is add water, oil, form your burger, and you got a burger. And you can make it a lot cheaper than you're buying a Beyond Meat or Impossible. And those are good burgers, don't get me wrong. The thing about them, though, is that they have, especially the Impossible, is that it has like 25% of the MDR for saturated fat. Without any saturated fat in this, and you can change it. And it's also a prepared product. So I'm not trying to in any way disparage the competition. You have really great products. They're obviously very successful. But this product you can add whole foods to. You can make it something that it's now. Right. And I think that's where a lot of the esoteric vegetarians come in. I use this product to make that bulgur walnut loaf, and they'd eat that, and they would not know they're eating a meat analog. But it's only got about 10% of the meat analog in it. See, that's the nice thing. You can cook with whole foods using these products. Right. And they have a chicken, and they have an Italian sausage version of this also.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that. Okay. So should I show your website now so that you could talk to the site, or do I don't want to.
And this is the egg product too. I just want
let's talk about that first.
The egg product, you can use it to make quiches. You can bake with it. You can make cakes. I even make pâté choux, like the cream puffs. I make omelets, quiches, frittatas.
I'm going to have to get some of that because I bought just egg replacement at the health food store. And I think it's like chia seeds. And it really doesn't work the same way. It doesn't, especially for baking, it's not so good. I tried.
And I use whole foods in this one, in the egg mix too. I use the nutritional yeast, which is really high in the B complex. Yeah. It has the B12 in it. And what is one of the greatest things you get from eggs for vegetarians is they go to eggs, not vegans, they'll go to eggs for the B12.
Right.
You get that in your soy milk now, and it's in a lot of food. So
or you can take supplements for that, for sure. Okay, well, I'm going to go to your site now, so you can walk us through. I just want to make sure people realize what a great resource what you're offering. The website is Eco-Cuisine, and I'll have it in all the comments and all the information for you. Should I just scroll down, Ron?
Sure. Well, you can start at the top if you want to, and it talks a little bit about my background, about the company. And then it goes into a piece about why vegan, because I am a vegan myself.
Me too.
And I aspire and encourage people to become vegan. But you don't have to be vegan to be healthy. You have to eat a balanced, healthy diet. And as an omnivore, a balanced, healthy diet means eating a lot of plant-based food. And so in our diets, I'm eating in the area of pretty much about 60 to 75% fresh whole foods, produce, fruits. whole grains, and things of that nature. And then to go into the videos. Now the video piece is really important because that really shows the training videos. It shows you how to work with the products, how to make the eggs, how to do the different products. And then there's the products, and it links you to the places where you can buy the product. You can buy them, the food service products you can buy on Amazon, you can buy them through Cisco, US Foods, all the major food service distributors carry these products. So if you're a retail consumer and you go to a restaurant and you want a vegan option and they don't have something that you like, have them go to the site because they can buy it anywhere. You can also buy the book there anywhere in the world. So the book is available. The only place you can buy the book is on my website, basically. You just go on there, you do it just like you would on Amazon. You pay for the book and the book gets shipped to you, and you get an autographed copy because it comes right out of my office.
Right. And I want to highly recommend that to all of you. I really think if you're thinking of changing your diet, or if you're already a vegetarian or vegan, this will up your game a lot. It'll change it, as Ron said. I didn't realize they called it plating, but you're bringing back beauty into your diet, into your life in all aspects. And then you can see this is some testimonials for the book.
Sure. And one of the things on the book, if I may just step back on the book itself, the book was endorsed by Michel Escoffier. And Michel Escoffier is the great-grandson of Auguste Escoffier, who is the grandfather of modern classical French cuisine. Right. And I call this the Classical Vegetarian Cookbook because it is based on classical French cuisine and modern American, and it has the most extensive section on sauces. All the classical mother sauces are covered in this book in vegan format. The Espagnole, which is like a brown sauce, the velouté, which is like a chicken sauce, the bechamel, the hollandaise sauce. Yeah, and then I do a lot of vegetable-based sauces also. And then it covers and then the other thing is that it really focuses a lot on the center of the plate proteins, how to work with the ancient proteins, beans, tofu, tempeh, seitan, how to make it, and then a lot of beans in the middle of all of that.
Right. So again, you guys, this is a very big book. This is, I don't know if you can tell when Ron holds it up, but it's a hefty book. And you will probably get rid of all your other cookbooks. If you do, it's really good. So, okay, so let's see what else. So here's some of the foods that are from it. So you look at the pastries without using eggs.
And that cake there was actually made with the egg mix. I actually used that. And the mouthfeel of that cake, when you bake it, when you use the egg mix, it has the mouthfeel or the chime of an actual cake with eggs, because normal vegan cakes, when you eat them, they just kind of chime, they kind of gel up and become a ball. This one, you eat it, it has that crumb. It really has that texture that you're going for in a pastry. Yeah,
this is amazing. And you can see his medals here. I mean, this is a fantastic experience getting to view. And I guess when we met at my office, I didn't catch all of your history. I didn't catch everything. So I'm so glad we had this conversation so that we could go deeper into what a gift your knowledge is, and that there's an easy way to interact with the knowledge and learn from you. Again, as you can see up here, if you go to this website, you can see there's videos that teach you how to use these products. And you'll see that they're reasonably priced. If you want to stock up and have a pantry full of products that you know at any time you can. I mean, seriously, this it took me a long time to use. I need to get some more, and I've been kind of not using it. But anyway, I recommend everything you do. So Ron, are you seeing that people are being more careful since the lockdown for their diet? Are you seeing, because a lot of the restaurants that you were working with may have had to change the way they're doing business during this time, but consumers are buying online. So have you seen a big difference in this time period?
Uh, when the COVID first hit, there was a real uptick in the retail side of the sales of my products because people were cooking more at home.
Right.
The chefs on the food service side, it was a little bit of a downturn, just a little bit for me because I came out last year above water compared to most food service operators and distributors. And the reason is that my products are so diversified in my clients because the products go through a company called Med Diet Food Service Express. And they are a drop ship program. So you just go online and order them. It's like an Amazon for food service, if you will. So Cisco has it, and all the major food service distributors are signed up for them. So a Cisco customer, anybody can just go order it. And so I'm in hospitals and restaurants and college universities and all over so my business kind of stabilized and picked right back up. But in general, the food service sector did take a hit. But the products are picking up in sales. Aside from that, based on the fact that they're so competitive price-wise, they function just like the competition's product. They're more diversified. They require no refrigeration. They're significantly less expensive. It doesn't require skilled labor. Anybody can take the mix and just, add the water and oil, mix it, and do what they want with it. Just don't steam it if they want. So it's really easy to work with. And I think those kind of factors are what I built into it. Because the whole point of all of this, after coming back from the Olympics, was to get chefs and people to cook vegan, not to buy the refrigerated frozen products. But that's not, there was a study done, and I don't have the details of it right in hand, but I remember the analogy. They said buying a prepared frozen burger coming out of a supermarket is almost about the same, or almost, if not a little bit more, less energy efficient than actually eating chicken, because you have to look at all of the processing. They have to process the textured soy protein. It's ground up, it's cooked, it's put through an extruder, it's dried, it's taken over to another manufacturer who hydrates it, puts all these other specialty ingredients into it. Then they have to form that, refrigerate it, and ship it all over the country refrigerated. So by the time you get all the energy into that and the packaging and everything, you're getting close to where you're at with and I'm talking about chicken, not beef, because beef and pork, they're much more top heavy. It's going to be hard to, vegan beats those a vegetarian every day.
Right.
My point is that it's eating more sustainably.
Right.
A product that's sustainable, but you can also, again, add the whole foods to it, and you're getting chefs and people to cook.
Yes.
And I think that's getting them back into that piece of it is a big part of it.
Well, I'm vegetarian, and I've been vegan pretty much. I cheat a little bit, but I've been vegan pretty much for the past year. Mm-hmm. And I am so a lot of restaurants are catering to people like me. If there's a salad that has shrimp or salmon in it, I can order tofu. There's a lot of, even the St. Julian restaurant has a vegan burger. So there's a lot of places now that instead of just getting the sides at a restaurant, that have beautiful presentated food that's healthy. I think the wave is just starting. I think you are way ahead of it. But now your vision and your future thought is coming to pass, because people are realizing, I mean, you can't, I don't know how people can sustain themselves in a cold climate on raw foods. I think a lot of people try, but I personally like warm soups, and I want warm stuff when there's snow on the ground. So what you're offering is for busy people that want to eat healthy, prepackaged food, a cookbook that and videos that show you how to use that prepackaged food, and the cookbook that shows you how to bring love back into your house by making all your food beautiful.
One of the things that came out of the COVID was people started cooking more at home.
Yeah.
When they had to. They couldn't go out to restaurants, unfortunately. Fortunate, everything is a two-edged sword. Yeah,
Right.
we don't want to go out and have the social experience, but the plus side of that is it brought people more together, and they had to cook. And so that was a good thing. And that kind of goes along the lines of what I'm doing, because cooking is so much a part of our life in dieting, how we eat, how our bodies feel. Making that connection is so important.
Right.
And it's crucial to longevity and to quality of life. It's
Right.
not necessarily just about how long you live, it's about the quality of your life. You know, if I died tomorrow, I had a good run, but I don't want to be living my life with one foot in the grave and one foot on the ground. I want to enjoy life. And it's hard to. And I empathize with people that are caught in those situations where they do have chronic conditions, because in a lot of cases, it can be a genetic thing that they inherited. So it's not being disparaging towards them. It's just unfortunate that anybody has to go through that.
Well, there are 40 years of peer-reviewed studies that doctors have produced that the vegan diet is healthier, especially for cardiovascular disease and for diabetes. So there's lots of data, but we have really been, our culture hasn't really embraced it. It hasn't embraced the whole food plant-based diet in a way that it could, that would, like you have. I mean, you saw it and you created a way to make it accessible, even in the finest restaurants. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So is there anything that you see for the future that you'd like to share here, since you obviously have future sight?
Well, I see this food where we're at right now is a bridge to where we need to be at. And I think all these meat analogs are good. They're healthy, but I think that technology needs to be integrated into eating a more whole foods diet. I think that is a crucial component. And I think that eating vegetarian does not, or vegan does not necessarily equate eating healthy.
Right.
You have to, I remember meeting some people that were vegans and they were very much into animal rights. And I said, well, what is your regular diet? And she looked kind of, the lovely lady, just passionate about animal rights, looked very emaciated. She said, well, I eat a lot of Oreos. It's like, look like it. If you're going to be a vegan and you really want to promote it, you really have to, emulate that sense of health in your diet.
Well,
so go ahead.
It's still processed foods. I mean, the processed foods that aren't made from whole foods, plant-based basis are definitely scientifically created to be addicting. There's salt and sugar and oil and all sorts of things in those potato chips and Fritos and all of it. So the thing is, if you get back to if you look, I think in a lot of ways, we're getting back to what our indigenous cultures knew. I mean, I spoke with someone a couple of days ago who came from Mexico, and it was normal for her to have beans and rice and a tortilla. And then enhance it in a whole foods plant-based way, and make a healthy dinner and still make it beautiful. But it's going back to your roots. But when our parents came over from Europe, they weren't eating all of the fast food and highly addictive food. So get back to it.
No, they ate locally. I mean, they
Right.
grew their food. I mean, they got beans and stuff in,
Easily.
and they got some things in the cans in the general store, carry some stuff, but they didn't have, 40-foot long shelves of just every kind of cereal you can think of. It was just pretty much whole foods. And I think that that's where we need to be going back to, sustainable. And I think when I shared that, when these people ate, indigenous people, they ate sustainably. They ate right from their backyard. They had stuff brought in. If they got chocolate from Switzerland, that's how Hershey's created chocolate. He wanted to milk chocolate here in the US, and he spent a lot of time developing that. One of the things you ought to watch is this history movie on foods. They have the history of the people that made foods. They talk about how ketchup was developed and how Heinz developed it and went bankrupt. But all these people were trying to develop a food that would help Americans in the industrialized age, because when we became more industrialized, people flocked to the cities. They were living in farms and they were living rurally, and then all of a sudden they're all flocking into the cities, and the cities had to figure out a way to sustain them on a diet. And that's where all this food kind of kept going up and up and up. And now, as Einstein said, and you kind of alluded to it, we're going to end up right back where we started, eating whole foods. And I think that's when you ask where it's going, that's where it's going. Now, how we get there and what we do there, that's another story. But I know what the landing pad is, and I know that's, and people are starting to allude to that with their critiques of the meat analogs, because they're saying, where's the nutritional value? The dietitians are the sodium, the fat. So you have to take these proteins and do something with them to make them healthier. And I think that's where I go with the dried mixes, because I do things with them to include whole foods, like a confit of vegetables, and make a roasted vegetable loaf, or making a golden walnut loaf. The idea is to bring nutrition to the table and use the modern technology as a carrier for that. Don't let that be it.
Right. And I think that you'll see that I know my energy level is so much better. I know that my attitude is so much better. It's more like you get out of the heaviness of what's going on, and you just still have the energy to do something about it. So I think diet is really important. Exercise obviously is. Living in a beautiful area like we do is, but I think that a lot of the audience here are small business owners that are servant leaders. They give a lot of themselves to their employees and to their customers. And I wanted them to know about you and what you offer, because this is a gift they can give themselves. And they can probably see a difference in a month.
Oh yeah. If you're eating a heavy meat diet, you're going to see radical changes. Your energy is going to pick up. But again, it's eating a whole foods diet combined with vegan. If you're just going vegan and you're not eating whole foods, you'll be better, but you're not going to be as good.
Well, they say they have a rainbow of colors. And so when you think about that, when that's raw foods as well as these processed foods, but you're making it as easy to make this as anything in your kitchen by buying your products, your Eco-Cuisine products. You're making it easy access. You're making it easy for chefs to have a vegan or vegetarian entree that's beautiful on their menu. You're offering, and us amateur chefs. So, well, thank you so much, Ron. And again, I've got, I'm excited for people to discover you. I've got your information here, but is there any, let's have you tell people the best way to get a hold of you.
Sure, it's on my website, but it's through Ron at eco-cuisine.com. So just put a Ron at on the web page address and you're there. And my contact information is on the website also.
Yes,
Just
yes.
put it through that. And if you got any questions about the product or where to buy it, and again, as a retailer, as a consumer, you can buy the products on Amazon. You can buy them. Some of the products are available through Veggie, but you can also buy the protein and egg stuff if you want it in larger, like the 10-pound case, if you want to buy more volume. And it's less expensive. You can get that on Amazon too. Just type in the name of the product in Amazon and it'll pop up.
And
Or you
I
go to
think
the
you
website.
can, whoops, I think that you'll benefit because when you go and buy something like this at the health food store, you're not getting the recipes, you're not getting all of the how-to that Ron has put together, and you're not getting restaurant quality products. You're getting, so his consumer line is the same line, right?
Correct.
Yes. So you're getting the highest quality products that are made and available. And so I want to encourage everyone to go to his website. And Ron, thank you so much. I want to get another cookbook or two to get for presents for people. So I'll have to connect with you here.
And again, the book is available on the website. You can just go there and order it and pay for it, and it'll be shipped right to you.
Yeah, and it'll be signed, autographed. So, well, thank you so much. And again, everyone, please do yourself a favor and check this out. I think you're more powerful than you know, but your engine needs the right fuel. And this could be the change that really gives you the boost to go through these chaotic, changing times with joy and grace. So thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Kathy.